Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live stream. Today, we are presenting a detailed look at a detailed invoice with our CEO and co-founder, Jacob Sheridan, and our client, Chris Cody, Managing Director of London Health Administrators. Welcome to everybody who's attending. We're so glad you're here. I'm going to go ahead and introduce both Jacob and Chris. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello. Good afternoon. Thanks for jumping on, everyone. Chris, super excited to have you today. And we're going to be talking about detailed invoices and our employer invoicing product.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So Chris, why don't you start out, provide a little introduction, a little bit about yourself and London Health.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Cody. I'm the Executive Director at London Health. We've been working with TPA for since 2020, utilizing their invoicing program. London is a TPA located in East Providence, Rhode Island. We specialize in administrating consumer spending accounts like HRA, FSA, and HSA programs, as well as billing administration like COBRA and retiree billing. We're really excited to be part of this conversation. TPA has had a major impact in working with London Health and really improving our business, lowering our costs, and streamlining our administrative processes. Prior to moving TPA, probably like most of you, our billing process took a lot of our operational resources. And working with TPA, we're able to streamline our processes, spend more time on revenue generating tasks, and today, really our whole staff. Because of the relationship with TPA Stream has really benefited from this relationship. And I'm really excited to be part of this conversation.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for that introduction, Chris. Let's start off today, just talking about kind of what was your world like before starting to work with TPA Stream and leveraging our employer invoicing product? Sure.
So before utilizing your invoicing program and working with TPA, our billing process was very manual. It was cumbersome. It took a lot of resources. It was overstaffed, really, compared to other departments in our business, mainly because of the responsibilities that it took just to generate our invoicing. London invoices on a quarterly basis, and really it took combining multiple databases like QuickBooks, our administrative software for, say, consumer spending accounts, another administrative platform for COBRA. And we were trying to manually kind of combine the data within those three databases to produce our invoices. The backup to the invoices, like if an employer wanted an itemized backup of the account types or the members that were included in the invoice, that was also reported manually. And the distribution of the invoices was also done manual as well. So we were using up a lot of resources, generating our through each billing cycle, and really what led us. We kind of reached a breaking point in around 2019, and we sought for a partner that really was going to achieve our main goals, what we're looking for. So obviously streamlining the process, reducing the amount of resources that we were just dedicating to billing, lowering costs, and increasing our margins or increasing our revenue in terms of our billing cycle, and that's really what led us to TPA.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. And when we talk to a lot of administrators across the country, we hear quite often that they have to set up all sorts of different types of arrangements because they're trying to support all the brokers in their network, right? All their broker partners. And because, the majority of the business that most TPAs get are from brokers, agents, consultants. And, what we hear about is a lot of time, they'll bring a case that has maybe a need for divisional billing, or maybe, you'll need to support bundles or different type of arrangements. And just curious if you guys kind of experience those kind of some of the challenges when, a broker and an employer might be requesting, the invoice to look a certain way or to support, sending, part of the invoice to one department, the other part to another department. I'm just curious if you guys kind of see that from your clients as well?
Yeah, so that's a perfect way to describe really positions TPAs are put in. As a third-party administrator, most of the times we have to be very hungry for business, and that allows us to, well, kind of forces us to adapt to our employers and brokers. And whether that's adapting to the administrative process, plan design, but in terms of billing, especially in terms of a larger business, if you want to play in that space, you have to have a flexible billing system to accommodate or divisional billing, like east, by location, sometimes by account type, by larger consultants that either might want a revenue share or, on the other end, want to actually pay for portions of that invoice. You need a flexible billing system to match the flexible or unique demands of a client or brokers. We're seeing this become more and more important, especially as there's been consolidation in industries where, say, smaller businesses are being bought up by larger businesses, and just the needs and demands for a flexible billing system really allows London to attract more clients, because this is becoming more of a popular question of completing RFPs. And as businesses get more diverse, they're looking for TPAs or vendors that can meet those unique and customized needs.
I mean, it's something that we hear across the industry. And, we were talking the other day about just all the additional products and services now that you guys are offering. And with all these additional, the problem continues to compound.
Right. And that's a good point. Right. So as businesses or as the industry is becoming more complex, any weakness in a TPA's administrative process is really going to be exacerbated and really come to light. I mean, right now, or so let's say like 6 years ago, we were administrating mainly like HRA, HSA, and FSA, which is probably typical of most TPAs administering in the consumer spending account space. But now, maybe because due to COVID or just really where the demands of the industry has taken us, now there's more complex types of HRAs like ICRA. And a lot of TPAs to grow their business are offering more complementary services like retiree billing, like payroll, like 401k. And you need a billing system to be the glue of all these different products that you want to sell. So again, you're not kind of going back to how London was doing it before, where we're doing more manual. I would say if we didn't make the switch, there's no way we could offer or extend our product portfolio like we can today because of the invoicing platform and flexibility offered by TPA.
That's great to hear. All right. So we talked a little bit about kind of what you guys were doing before. It was a really manual process, cumbersome, a little bit overstaffed. So let's talk about kind of the evaluation process and then the transition. How did that go?
Yeah, sure.
And what did you learn through the evaluation as well?
Yeah. So really, as I mentioned before, where we're coming from, it was a very manual, cumbersome, and costly process. So we were looking for a foundation or invoicing platform to streamline the administrative process. So really, we were having like a wish list. Like we would love it if we could have a system, pull enrollment by account type, customize the format and the appearance of the invoice, allow us to organize by divisions or say organize an invoice or separate it out by brokers who want to pay for portions of the bills. And we just wanted to, on this date, on a set frequency, click a button, have all the data be imported and invoices automatically emailed to all of our employers, and have backup available through a self-service tool. So that's what we were looking for. Through our search, we interviewed about 5 different billing vendors, and based on our goals or our wish list, TPA was the perfect match. So that was kind of our initial evaluation and really what we're looking for. And and I think Jacob, you and I met in the beginning, and everything that we wanted, you said, "Yep, we can do all of this." And I was skeptical because I was like, "There's no way we can come from where we were to basically automating everything like that." It seemed like too big of a jump. Through the migration process, I was extremely surprised of how easy it was to start our relationship, how well your team held our hands through the migration process. So I would say in a TPA's perspective, like we've migrated CDH platforms, we've migrated COBRA platforms, and there's always about, let's just say like 50-50 manual work versus what can be automatically migrated. With billing, that was just because we had data coming from all these different databases. That was very concerning to me. I didn't think it could be as easy as TPA is making it sound. I think it was accomplished on two reasons. One is you guys have done this before. You guys have done this. It was very obvious when we started working with you. You already had templates in place, you had processes in place, but most importantly, your team held our hands through the process. Like we were new to your system. We didn't know how it worked. We were very concerned about all the manual data entry we'd have to do into your system. And what ended up happening is that we bill in a quarterly cycle. So we started, our first billing cycle was Q1 of 20. So as soon as we went live in January, we were able just to flip a switch and in 3 months end our manual process and start with automating our invoicing with your program. And when I say we flipped the switch and no problems happened, if anything, it actually improved our process. Our employers were pleasantly surprised with not only the automation, but also just the additional resources that were available to them. That really exceeded our expectations. And, that's not the same experience that we've had with other migrations. And I would just share with the group or my peers who have or thinking about any system migration. It's sometimes I think that can be considered like a very large task, costly. There's never the right time to migrate. I can tell you we migrated the busiest time of year. So the Q1 cycle is always the busiest time of year. We came from a completely manual process, never used a system like this before, and we're able to be trained, migrated, and go live in 3 months. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I know probably some of my responses sounds like Jacob's teeing me up for that. Maybe he's going to send me like a vest maybe with TPA's logo on it. But I promise you, I'm coming from the perspective because we were in such a bad place. And I'm just very thankful for the solution that TPA gave us because it allowed us to spend way more resources on revenue generating tasks than we were before. And it's had a major impact on our business.
So, I mean, well, thank you, Chris. And, it's awesome to hear, right? And we're just so fortunate to have great customers like you guys. And, it's also nice that, our team has built a product that works, right? And, we're promoting it and talking about all this functionality and we have it all there.
It's true. Yep. Everything you're saying is true.
Yeah. And, would love to just talk about the servicing team and customer service for a second, right? And, it's something that we don't often talk about as part of the invoicing process. However, the amount of time that's spent often after you send out invoices can be very, very significant. And so if you could maybe just talk to that, maybe what you have seen before and just what you've experienced with the product. Sure.
So with the service team is tremendous. When we look at trying to build relationships with a vendor, yes, the software can be great, but in order to build that trustworthy relationship, you need to have people that back you up. And the TPA stream service team is basically acted like an extension of our finance department. Not to say they didn't train us properly, but because of some of the customized situations or setups that our clients are asking us to implement, we rely on TPA to make sure we are setting it up properly, that we're meeting client expectations. And there has never been a time where we've reached out, whether it's a large request, simple request, even if it comes from perspective like, oh, we should know this, but we're just going to ask to double check. Their team has always been very, very responsive and has really guided us through not only the migration, but also as we've been live for the past couple of years. They're always consistently training and teaching us best ways to utilize the software. In other migrations or other vendors that we work with, a lot of the software providers give us a guide. They'll give us a process chart and say, okay, this is what you have to do before you contact us. That's never been the case with TPA. And especially employers and brokers are very demanding in terms of like they want a response immediately. They want a new bill corrected. They want what they want when they want it. And sometimes other software providers prevent us from responding because they're not ready for us, or they don't value the same response times as we do. TPA allows us to better service our clients because you give us timely responses. So now we can, properly service our clients. And I can't say that's really the same.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about, a story or two, a client or two that you rolled out employer invoicing for, and some of their feedback and some of the additional capabilities that the product has been able to do for them.
Yeah. So one of our largest clients is an insurance carrier, and we actually on their behalf send out bills for the consumer-driven account types and also the COBRA administration. And since they're a client, we pretty much had to say anything you want, we have to make happen. And so TPA allowed us to customize the appearance in terms of that large health plan client. We were able to customize how the account types are organized, whether it's like a standalone account, stacked, building in broker commissions. We're able to customize the timing. So if some of them want to be monthly or quarterly, we're able to customize to the frequency. So based on that, health plan client, a very, very large and demanding client that we had a high bar of expectation to meet. TPA was allowed us pretty much to customize, their software or their billing system to accommodate our large clients' needs, and we've had that clients since then. We've since 2020, we've been meeting their expectations ever since, and that's really because of the relationship we've had with TPA. So I would say one of the strengths of the program not only is the automation, but it's the ability to allow us to customize to how London wants to bill to meet our clients' expectations. So the customization was a really a big success story for us. The second, I would say, it's more of a book of business success story was in providing backup to the invoice. Like every client wants to audit the invoice, right? And sometimes we could only provide a report one way, like organized one way, like this is what the account type is called. Or we just one big general running list of members, and it was kind of cumbersome. It didn't look good. It was hard for the employer to really organize or to audit the bills. Plus, they're having to email our team. We generate that backup and then email it back, right? So you can see the amount of work it would take just to satisfy that client's needs. So with TPA Stream, they get the invoice, they get a link to the portal, they log in, and they can download the report all by themselves in a format that is very easily customizable, or they can filter out certain data to be able to audit those invoices without London ever getting involved at all. So you can see the kind of the consistent theme here is there's less work now that we're spending, but at the same time, we're providing more to our clients.
Awesome. One thing we talked about the other day was revenue growth and being able to bring on potentially new business. And just curious if you've been able to pick up new business, if it's been easier for you to kind of say yes to different brokers requesting different customizations, and how that's impacted. Yeah.
So in terms of revenue growth, we look at it as new business, but more importantly, retention. Okay. So for new business, it's we have been asked during RFPs, during proposal process, like what is your billing process? What's the resources you can provide in terms of self-service, but also how customizable is our invoicing? Can we organize based on all the different types of account types they want to offer to their clients or to their members, as well as can they organize it by division, or even employment classification. So that's to get new business. That has been a growing demand that we have to meet that need in order to get the business. I would say most importantly, though, Jacob, is our retention percentage. So we've been able to, getting business is one way, but to to have them renew year over year, that means we're doing something right. Right. And it's almost like they feel like, okay, I'm being taken care of. They have confidence in London, like we're using the best of the best software and delivering that, that high level product experience to our clients. So since we've had TPA, we have our retention percentage has increased. And one of the components is the improved and streamlined billing process. So that's kind of how we look at globally, the impacts that TPA has had in terms of London financially, is that we've been able to get new business because we have a better story to tell in terms of billing. We've been able to retain more business because the process and our administrative process in terms of billing is easy for the employer to handle.
That's in line with what we hear from a lot of other folks. I was on a call with one of our customers the other day who said, we look at invoicing as a product. Because it's something our customers get every month or every quarter, and they see it more than they see a lot of other documents. And it's just a very, very important statement that represents our business. And so it's great to hear not only the ability to grow your business, but the high retention. I mean, it's so much, it's so much easier to keep a customer, right? And try to get it.
No, that's the old saying, but it's so true. And like I was saying before, if we look at resources, whether it's our employee resources or just costs, the amount of time we were spending on just billing clients we already had was taking us away from actually say servicing a client or actually spending resources in terms of getting new business. So TPA has improved that whole experience dramatically. And as TPAs, our margins are so low. We're always looking for a way to squeeze every little bit out of our low PPMs that the marketplace demands. So we've been able to, through TPA Stream, we've been able to increase our margins, but taking on less work. So now we can redistribute a lot of those resources to more revenue generating responsibilities. When we started working with TPA in 2020, as I mentioned before, our finance staff was probably overstaffed, meaning we were dedicating too many resources to really what the responsibility should have required. So with TPA Stream, we didn't lay off anybody, but we took some of the personnel that was in the finance department that was processing, doing all the cumbersome tasks of our billing responsibilities, and moved them around and to strengthen other departments within our business, which then had a chain reaction to us providing better service and a better product to our clients.
Awesome. It's great to hear.
And I know I said this before. I know it sounds like I might be overemphasizing, just how, just as one billing process, which is like, one piece of the administrative, assembly line. But as Jacob mentioned, if your billing process is weak, the clients are going to see it on a monthly or quarterly basis. And when it's weak, it means they have more work on their end, which then has more cost on their end. And then it's a bad experience. And it's almost like you can't get back. You can't hide from it because it's going to happen again and again. So that was a concerning part to me personally, to grow our business, being able, we had a strong foundation to continue to grow. And anyway, so this is, I can't emphasize enough, the strength of the foundation for our business to grow that TPA really was a big part of.
Well, thank you. So one of the things let's talk about next is just surprises, right? So, you had a set of goals, you had a very defined process for evaluating a product. We talked about what you were doing before, how you migrated, how you moved to TPA Stream. Just curious, throughout the whole experience, like, what were the biggest surprises?
Yeah, I would say two biggest ones. One, the migration. Like I mentioned before, we migrated our CDH software platform. We migrated also our COBRA software platform. And both those migrations took, at least 6 months, a lot of manual work. And it almost like puts a pause in certain departments just to get our data over and running onto this new platform. And then we could, start growing again. So I wasn't, so we're coming from a place of those types of experiences. And with TPA Stream, the migration like I said, only took us like 3 months to go live, like start to finish, going live. I was one of the parts of the migration that I was really surprised about is like the import of data, where it's coming from all these different places. Like I said, it was a CDH software, COBRA, and QuickBooks, and they were able to, I'm not a tech person, but grab all the data, and literally we came into work the next morning and all the data was there. And I'm simplifying that a little bit, but that was the experience that we had. So I just say, for any of those people who are looking into migrations or migrating their billing program, the way that TPA is set up, because they've done it many times before, we are a big example of coming from a low tech manual process, and it could not have been easier, honestly. So the second surprise is the service. I think some people say they give good service, but actions speak louder than words. And when I say our team really views TPA Stream support staff as an extension, whether that's right or wrong, Jacob, as part of our team, that's the type of experience. And I've never had the experience where like a question is too insignificant or too important for them to handle. Every single time they treat all of our service requests very important, because they know we're only bothering them because an employer is bothering us. So that type of teamwork really allows us to service our employers properly. So I'd say those two experiences are the biggest surprises that we experienced working with TPA Stream.
Awesome. Well, thank you. All right, so let's talk about. I think one of the last kind of topics I wanted to talk about was just the industry, right? We have a bunch of other TPAs on, potentially some, I think maybe a broker or two, and just others in the employee benefits industry. I mean, one, there's a number of additional products and services, whether it's lifestyle accounts, whether it's ICRAs, QSERAs, but at a really high level, like, where do you see the industry going over the next 3, 5, 10 years?
Yeah. So I think putting more responsibility on the consumer's shoulders, whether in terms of making decisions, being better behavior, and making either lifestyle or medical service decisions. But I see employers wanting to get their consumers more involved. So I see a continued growth in health savings accounts. We see a continued growth and confidence in ICRAs. Lifestyle spending accounts, we're seeing a grow in there in those particular products. I think in lifestyle spending accounts, the demand there is being driven because businesses want to provide a more diverse benefit package and fund accounts that reinforce a certain company culture. So I think the focus is on the consumer. Whether it's giving them financial benefits to plan for the long term, maybe putting more decision-making responsibility on the consumer's shoulders, giving money to consumers to reinforce a company culture, but also leaning toward making consumers more self-sufficient. And that is only really achieved through good software or good consumer resources provided by your vendors. And at the same time, though, those vendors that provide, say, those self-service solutions, at the same time, though, there's always going to be demand for consumers needing their hands held, because healthcare is or employee benefits is a very personal part of employees' life and very expensive for employers. So we still see, even though we see this marketplace going, putting more emphasis on the consumer, more decision, more responsibility, more engagement on their end. At the same time, a service administrator, say like ourselves, still has to kind of balance with the self-service tech with also, that personal hand-holding experience that I think members will always need.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree. And I think, the self-service piece, I think, is even more important for employers, right? And, how do you continue to scale and grow and keep increasing your margins in a way where you're providing an awesome experience? And, technology, I think, is the answer, right? And enabling more, functionality and giving the employer more information, not just giving them more information, but making it easy for them to see what they need to see at the right time.
Right. Exactly right.
So, we the title of this webinar, right, talking about detailed invoicing. We just continue to hear from the market how important providing those details are, and how, a lot of administrators will provide a detailed invoice when an employer asks for it. And maybe they only do it for 10%, 20% of their clients, but at the end of the day, all of them want it. One of the challenges, though, that we hear often is, well, if we give them the detailed invoice, then we might have to make changes, right? Then we might have to make adjustments. I'm actually really excited, and I'll kind of do a quick segue here. Really excited to talk about a new feature. We'll show you guys a video in a moment about automatic look-back adjustments, but it kind of ties to everything that we're building. And if you want to provide self-service, right, you need to make it easy to be able to make adjustments and changes, but you need to do that in an efficient way. And so in a moment, I'll ask you one more question, Chris, and then we'll have a video play about this new functionality where we're just continuing to extend the platform, right, and making it easier to accommodate that self-service need while keeping your margins the same and not creating so much additional work and having to change, invoices on an ongoing basis based on, requests from customers due to data that wasn't updated or improperly imported from one system or another. All right. So last question I want to ask you. I know you've mentioned this a number of times, but let's just say let's talk about it one more time. So for TPAs that are manually invoicing today, have a manual billing process, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. So I would understand where your weaknesses are today. Understand your operation, where your obstacles are. So understanding what you have to solve, and then looking for a vendor that create that wish list that I mentioned. We were hoping to achieve. Which is London's not. What is important to us might not be the same to you, but we were looking for, wanted to streamline our process, cut our cost, offer more to our employers without taking on additional cost, and then increasing our margins. So, understanding what your obstacles are, understanding, what your wish list is, and then most importantly, don't be afraid of the migration, especially with the way that Jacob and his team have built a process. They built import templates. They have a project management team ready to hold your hand. And I'm only coming from experience. I'm not trying to overemphasize the easiness of the migration, but that's always a biggest part, at least from our perspective, when we migrate, software, is the amount of time and work and money. So I would just say, don't be afraid of the migration because it's easier than you think.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And no, this has been great, Chris. Really enjoyed the time today. Hopefully this is beneficial for the folks listening. As Chris mentioned numerous times, he doesn't work for TPA Stream. He wasn't asked to, necessarily promote us like the way that he is. He and before even this webinar today, he mentioned we've just seen so much success, and I just want to make sure that comes across. And I hope I don't come across as like I'm trying to sell the product too much, because I truly had such a great experience. So we're just beyond appreciative of you jumping on today. And what we're going to do next is we're going to transition to a short video that will show everyone about our automatic look back adjustments.
Thanks again, Chris.
Thanks, Amanda.
So as Jacob mentioned, we're going to quick show you a bit about automatic look back adjustments. But I first wanted to say, from a product strategy perspective, as Chris mentioned, we've long filled a very important gap for our TPA customers with really tactical solutions for how are they going to bill for all the services that they're providing. And we're really moving to the next level with our invoicing solution. We're taking it from, offering that really important tactical process improvement capability to revenue generating and additional revenue capturing features and benefits for the product. And so I just wanted to highlight that as we talk about look back adjustments, because it's kind of kind of a touch point in the series of features that we're launching this year along those same lines. So this feature reviews past billing cycles for any adds or terminations and automatically adds them to your next invoice as credits, debits, or both, depending on how you have it configured at the employer level. So why don't we go ahead and take a look, and then after the video shows, we'll wrap up.
Hi there, I'm Eric, Chief Product Officer at TPA Stream, and today I'm pleased to introduce to you a feature for our invoicing customers, automatic look-back adjustments. With this enhancement, we'll automatically look back for the time period you set and adjust your next invoice to account for changes, either credits, debits, or both, and then apply them automatically to the next invoice you generate. You'll get more accurate invoices as a result of this feature, which for many of our customers results in more revenue. For example, at the beginning of the year, when there's a lot of shuffling and adjustments, automatic look-back adjustments will capture that activity and apply it to the invoice automatically. Let's take a look at how this works, and then I'll show you in the app. So let's say it's January 1st, and you're generating invoices for January, February, and March based on your recurring fees. You send that invoice off to your employer through the app, and maybe you follow it up with a paper airplane. That invoice includes all recurring fees for January, February, and March. Now it's February 16th and Milton joins the team. 8 weeks later, it's April 1st and time to generate invoices again for quarter 2. Your April invoice includes April, May, and June. The invoice you generate will include all of your recurring fees for quarter 2, just like your quarter 1 invoice, but you have automatic look-back adjustments set up. You have your settings for this employer to look for credits and debits both, and the look-back period is 12 months. So now your invoice includes all recurring fees, plus any and all adjustments from quarter 1. We continue to add features that help you generate the most accurate invoices possible while automating as much of the process as possible.
So I hope that gives you just a little bit of a flavor of not only the automatic look-back adjustments, but also the opportunities that we continue to find in the billing process to help TPAs generate additional revenue and capture the revenue that they deserve for the services that they are offering. So Jacob, thank you so much for the wonderful conversation with Chris today. For those attending, thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, of course, we're an open book. Feel free to reach out, and we will be in touch over the coming days to answer any questions that you might have about Chris's experience, our solutions, and automatic look-back adjustments if that piqued your interest. So thank you again, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.